Good Wednesday morning, foggers. Hope everybody's well on another chilly morning here in Miami. 55 for us. It's like being in the North Pole. But the weather's beautiful. The sun's out, right? The reset button that we always talk about. So it's a beautiful day, and it's a blessing to wake up and to be able to see the sun, regardless of what happened yesterday. It's a blessing. So, real quick, I didn't hear back from anybody wanting to meet up or get together, so we'll leave that to the side and we'll revisit it another time, and that's fine. I think I'm where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I've always lived by that, and I think that for everything in my life. So yesterday I was going back and forth via text with an IG account, Bibles and Bullets. If you have a chance, you should get on there, follow them, and see. It's run by a wife of a law enforcement officer, for law enforcement officers' wives and stuff, to support all of us, right, as first responders. And one of the questions she had posed about, and it was a long question, but about critical incidents and the effects of critical incidents. And, my response to her was, yeah, critical incidents can be bad, right? I've had incidents with trains. I remember small plane crashes that we've dealt with, helicopter crash, which was very gruesome. I remember that. Overturned tankers, if you guys remember that, and fires that we have once in a while. And, some of those things, like I said, the helicopter one was gruesome, but the fact that the word, critical incident can be many different things. And I personally, for me, I haven't found them very traumatic. What I got into, traumatic stuff like a mass casualty, the FIU bridge and different things that we've encountered. Yeah, those tend to be a little bit more impactful as far as trauma. But, I wanted to make the point that, in discussing trauma and the effects of trauma, it doesn't have to be that one scene of multiple dead people or carnage or discharging of a firearm. When I always tell you guys, take out the garbage, right? Like my therapist had told me about the Rolodex analogy, or the glass being full to the limit and you just lose your shit. Simple things, right? Eating at a restaurant and everybody staring at you like you're some side circus, attraction. Sitting down and eating, being relaxed as you can be in uniform, right? Armed, and getting the beep tone, right? Lights and sirens. And I remember having a call, it was on a Sunday, and I was thinking about, how our ups and downs, emotionally and hormonally, right? All our endocrine system and stuff like that. And while we're so destroyed and so inside, we have, cancer and heart problems and all these things. But getting back to that story, it was a Sunday day shift. I was working a day shift as a sergeant. And I remember sitting down to eat breakfast with a couple of the squad members, and everything was fine. And it was Sunday, and it's usually a slow day. And a beep tone goes out, and we're off. And it was an accident with a fatality. Some people that were going to church, and it was a father-daughter, and the father was killed. They were hit from behind because a man had an epileptic seizure. Just an accident. There was no criminal intent. There was no negligence as far as DUI, or it was just an accident. It was an unfortunate accident. And one of the things that sticks out, besides the fact there was a fatality, it wasn't anything that was extra gruesome or whatever. It was a sad story because it was a father and a daughter, and the daughter was in her 30s and the father was elderly, and he died next to her. But when I turned over, there was a community bus of Haitian people that were going to church. And I looked over, and they were all with their hands up praying. And, it's that roller coaster, right? I was just eating, and I had to get in my car, and I went with my squad members, and there's a fatality, and that's bad enough. But then you look over, and there's just a group of people, and then you see the highs and lows of life, just in that call alone, just life, right? You see tragedy, and then you look over, and there's hope, right? And there's people praying and trying to comfort the daughter, and things like that, right? We talk about one of our partners that was murdered, his son at the funeral, and I know he's on the department now, and he should be royalty to us. We should always be looking after him. But his words, right, Papi, I know you're in here at the funeral. I will never forget that. What else? Just so many things. The common everyday things, the screaming of family members in agony at homicide scenes, the actual getting dispatched to a call, like I talked about the two brothers and the father that were dead, and seeing other people's emotion. And what I'm trying to tell you is, when we go to a quote unquote traumatic or a critical incident or a mass casualty, we know right off the bat, like, this is gonna be bad, okay? But because we know that, we tend to have our guard up a little more, and we're doing, we'll talk about it later somewhat in cop talk, but it's, the kicker for us is just life as an officer, right? The eating, having to get up and running and getting to a call and it's nothing, or getting to a routine call and it's something big, getting to all these accumulation of the highs and lows and the peaks and stuff that we're getting to. The life of an officer. It doesn't have to be that quote unquote traumatic incident. And that's what I told her, that I find just the real kicker when it comes to our profession. And when you look at suicide statistics, not that younger officers don't commit suicide, because that would be wrong on me and I don't know that, but I did see statistics where, it's usually at a minimum people with 10 years of experience, and that, I think it was 30 years old to 55 or somewhere in that area. I don't want to misquote it. But what I'm trying to say is it's an accumulation of everyday things. It's not just that big traumatic call or losing our partner or addictions, or it's an accumulation of years of all that bag of shit that we talk about, right? The garbage, not taking out the garbage. So what we're getting at is, we talked about functionality when you have addictions, and how I was when I was going through my alcoholism and my pills and stuff. I was functional. I didn't want to have anybody interfere with my girlfriend. Remember we talked about that? And that goes in direct correlation with what we're talking about, the accumulation of garbage, of shit from the job. And that's why we have to make our therapy, and when I say therapy, I mean everything what we've talked about, our hydration, our food prepping, our working out, our doing something for ourselves, right? Loving ourselves. We can't wait for that big thing, right? We take our vitamins and our supplements and stuff with the hopes that we don't get sick. We don't take them on the day we wake up sick, right? It's the same concept. We have to really invest in ourselves in order to stay well. It's not getting well after you're in a bad place. And that can be worked on, and that can be solved if you do find yourself in a bad place. You just have to reach out. But preemptive strikes, right? Our peer teams should be out at the districts. You can't be a part-time. I just don't agree with part-time peer people. Full-time, you should be out there talking to people. You need to go to them, not them to you. We've discussed that before also. So preemptive, just walking around, talking to people, going to maybe routine calls, going to that breakfast spot or that coffee shop where we're at, and just talking, so they know that you're one person that they can talk to. So I just found it interesting talking back and forth with her, and I told her that I thought she was the real hero, right? It's the spouses and the boyfriends and girlfriends that hold down the fort, right? That take care of the kids when you're out, the holidays that you're working, you get called out in the middle of the night like I used to when I was in K-9. All those things, those are the real heroes. Those are, the motivation for loving ourselves is us, but then right after that should be our loved ones, right? And try to be the best that we can for them. So I just wanted to bring this video today because I thought it was important that we don't have to wait for that big oh shit. Every day little oh shits will amount to filling up that garbage can that we talked about. So, today, do something for yourself, right? Small thing, you don't have to go crazy. Small thing, every day do something that makes you smile, something that brings some laughter to you, hang out with your friends, whatever it may be, right? A little bit of self-love, right? And try to deal with things on a daily or weekly basis, right? If it wasn't a big deal, and just try to take the garbage out constantly, okay? So it doesn't accumulate. And you already know that if it's a major thing, God forbid we lose somebody, one of our people gets hurt, and we're at the hospital like we're always used to doing, that we take care about it, that we talk about it, that we reach out. Okay, it's important to reach out. We talked about yesterday the courage. Have courage, self-courage, right? We already display that courage on the street all the time. We ain't scared of shit. But you have to have self-courage and take care of yourself, right? For yourself, you gotta love yourself, then for your family, okay? And with that, I'll let you go on this Wednesday. It's a beautiful day. Just look at the sun for a little bit, stare at the sun, absorb it, accept it, receive it, and nothing. Have a great day, okay? And we'll talk tomorrow, man. Have a good day. 3 a.m. fog.